So in the last video, we navigated the Azure environment, created the Azure resource group, we created the app service plan, we created the web app, the SQL database, and we were able to come to this the solution in question to change the connection string of the app setting to the remote database. We equally logged on from behind from the management studio to see the database that was created remotely on Azure. So what we shall be doing right now again is to, based on our agreement, what we intend to do in an application, we run the solution, we can run it again against the Azure DB. Let's see how it goes. So as we can see on the screen, it ran successfully. The endpoints are still showing. So if you visit the application again, you see the connection string. You can see it's in a debug mode. The connection string is still pointing to Azure. All right. We have done what we said we needed to do, run it against the Azure DB. We've run migration already. So now we are going to add this solution to Git repo. Then from there, we'll now move to the CI/CD definition and implementation. So stay tuned, please. All right, without wasting much time, let's quickly add this solution to repo. We're going to add it to repo, make it public, give it a name, playreg CICD, CICD, CICD under, let's say Azure Web Apps. Let's call Web Apps. Let's leave it this way. This Web App, Azure Web Apps deployment is good. All right. So let's push to our GitHub. Where's my GitHub environment? This is my environment for GitHub. So I assume you will equally have a GitHub account. Let me refresh this. I don't think I logged on here. Let me try to log on to this environment properly. Okay. Let me log on. This is a question for two-factor authentication. Okay, fully logged on. I can see my complete record now. But let's monitor if this one is done. It's still processing. Once it's done, you should see it in the repo. It will take on. So it has been pushed to my GitHub environment, as you can see here, right? So you can see it. And I want to copy the links. Let's go to okay, good. So this is the content of the web application in question. All right, let's move to the DevOps environment. Where's my DevOps environment? This okay. Move to my DevOps environment. All right, this is my DevOps environment. So what we need to do, let's create this project so that we can add a pipeline to it. Can create it this way. Employee will be Azure. Can say DevOps. Yeah, can say DevOps. It doesn't mean they need to be the same name. But this is just to house this to house the this to house all the activities that will be required. Moving the data, the content from Git repo to Azure because the solution itself is residing in GitHub, not Azure environment. So we are here, we've created the project. Let's go to pipeline quickly. Then we try to create a new pipeline. Let's create a new pipeline. All right, as you can see, we are talking of GitHub content. Let's take this GitHub YAML file. It will ask us for credentials. All right, my GitHub credentials. Let me provide them for the connection. I've provided the connections. And it's taking me to GitHub content. These are my content there. I'm interested in this very one on the GitHub. Okay, all right, that's brought it up. This way I need to approve for it to have access to it fully. I'm not interested in this. This is the one. This is the one I'm interested in. Should be the only one here. Let me approve. It will take me back to Azure DevOps environment now. It's requesting for my Azure DevOps credentials to be very sure. Click that. Okay, here we are. So we are back. We have to now pick the framework that we are targeting or the solution is built on, which is .NET Framework Core. All right, so this is the YAML file generated. I need to just update one or two lines here, a minute, so that we can have the name for the artifact and equally tell the YAML that whenever an artifact or a build is produced, it should not zip it. Those are the two things I need to update here. So it's very, very important we do this update. Let's Control V. Okay. Let's repeat. Okay. This one. Right. No, sorry. Control Z. This okay. No. All right. You can see it has corrected itself. So this zip publish saying once you publish, it should not zip the file, because if you zip it, you will not be able to run it on the web. You have to unzip it before you can get access to the content. So this one we label it the way we want to see the artifact. So we could equally call it Azure Web App, just like what we have here. Can label it this way, and label it this way to differentiate it in case you see any other one. So when we are done, we can now save. Okay, save. I do not want us to run it right now. That's why I'm saving, because I want to add trigger to this. All right, you can go back to edit, and try to add trigger. Okay, environment, and try to add trigger here, so that whenever a commit is done from the source code, we trigger the actual build to start. So this is where we say override the continuous integration. With this, we have successfully implemented triggering, auto triggering of it. So I need to build. Let me build and save, because the artifact definitely will be required when we are building the release, which is the next option. So let's wait for this to run. Once it runs completely, we'll move. So you can see it has queued the job. If no error, it will run till the end. Once it is done, we can now move to the release session. Okay, the pipeline is built now. At the end of the day, an artifact or a DLL will be the output once a build is completed, and that output is what will flow in to the release session. So if we look into the environment now, you will discover that YAML file would have been added to this repo. There is it exactly the YAML file that we created from there. So this is the handshake between the DevOps and the GitHub environment and the DevOps. So the next thing, let's try to move to the release. Let's try to go and create a release that will be triggered once the pipeline build is completed. Let's go to create pipeline. Okay. All right. This is the environment. And then the first thing we need to do is to specify the type of deployment we are looking at. Before, we used to use IIS. If you look down, you will see IIS deployment. You can see IIS, yes, IIS website. This is what we used to deploy to private VM. or a server. Now we are using Azure App Service. So let's click this, right? We can call this production. Just call it production. If you have a slot implementation where you can have a staging and production, you can equally have a two-step here. But for the purpose of this demo, we are going to use just one. Okay. All right. Now the next thing is let's try to bring the artifacts into question. This is the first thing we need to do. The build artifact from that pipeline, we need to tell the solution. Okay, we have various options here, but we're interested in the build one. If you look at it, you have various Azure artifacts. But this is what we're interested in. So it's from Azure. We should have it here. All right, this is it. This is where the artifact is coming from. Okay, that is just what we need here. We have added the artifacts. So the next thing now is to work on the task. We gave it a name just now, production. What do we intend to do with this production? This is where bulk of the business is. So we are going to configure this production. As you see, we have clicked now. We will equally come to this environment later. So let's start with this. Let's click this. All the items we brought out before, this is where we now need to use them. So let's quickly go through it one step after the other so that we can have all of them. So we are going to say new service connection. Click new service connection. We are using Azure Resource Manager. Using Azure Resource Manager. Okay. We have various options here, but it's the Azure Resource Manager we want to use. We have a service principal manual because we need to impute those values. If it's automatic, it will start trying to connect. So you can see exactly where we are. The subscription ID we mentioned before, all of them, we have to bring them here. This is the items. Let's see. We were able to get all of them. This is the subscription ID. This is what will map your Azure environment to what we are trying to do here. It would be and the subscription name. These are the details we got from the Azure environment. Subscription name is it. Equally change it in Azure. Service principal ID. Let's see what we have there. Service principal ID. Forget. Our first video showed how we got all this information. The part one, service principal certificate key. Service principal key was equally gotten. Service principal key, you see it here. Service principal key, Control C, it here. The tenant ID that was mentioned there too. We have the tenant ID, Control C, bring it here. What else? Verify. Have the source connection. Can just call it Azure Dev connection test. You can put it this way. So principal grant license. So let's try to verify and save. If everything is well, it will show. Okay, you can see Azure Dev okay contest. It's okay here. So let's go back to see if we can see it to reference here. We are supposed to refresh this to see if we can see it to reference. Okay, Azure Dev contest. This is it. This is exactly what we checked just now. Okay, which means we have been able to connect this part, this release to it. It's a web app application. The app service name. Let's see if it connected well. The app service name we did before. You will see it. AGB test. Very app service name. Let me check. Let me check what we call it. Yes, you can see AGB test reg. This is what we call the service name there. That service name is what we call it in Azure environment. You can see how they are relating. Watch the first video, you will see the connections among them. Okay, this is done. You can save. Can save. So let's look at what we can. I think this one is taken care of. The Azure Resource Manager. Like I said, if we had a deployment slot will enable you to swap content. You can use production and staging, but here we don't have any of that. Now let's look at where the structure, where the content need to be coming from. We don't want to take a zip content. Let's look at what we have based on this application we are deploying. Okay, this is the artifact. This is going to be the structure of the artifact. So we're interested in this. This is where the content will be. So I don't think there's any other thing for us to do here. We don't have any other thing. So we just save and try to run. The configuration is done. So we discovered that a larger part of the work was actually done in Azure environment to get all those values. Once you're able to link them, we are good to go. So we have done this. Let's create release because there's already existing artifacts. If it works well, our solution should be ready for us to see. So let's create this and monitor if it will run successfully. If it runs successfully, it's a plus for us. So let's come here to see. All right, it's here, so it's trying to run. So we'll watch out. So you can see it's running already. Running once. If it doesn't fail, we are good to go. If it fail, we troubleshoot it. So we can see it has run successfully. So what we now need to do, let's check if what we are expecting will be at the destination. This is my Azure environment. You can access it anywhere. Like I said, that URL is very important. That's why I say we should keep it before when we create the web app service. Let's see if the content comes here. All right, you can see exactly what we are saying. This is running from Azure environment. If you see this Azure website, it comes with it. So that is exactly what we have tried to do. So the next thing we need to quickly do, let me try to update this endpoint to see if it will auto trigger the deployment, and from there, okay, if we look at what we are having here, we have authentication. Let me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 endpoints. Let's try to add just a vague method to it. Let's see how it goes. Let me say HTTP get. Okay, I can quickly do that here. Can add let me just take this. Take this. Get get specific user. I can put it that way. Get specific user. Get specific user. Let me repeat this. There's no harm doing this. Get specific user. Let's just return OK. Return OK. All right. So let's save and try to build. Let's build and then commit. Okay. Let me say specific user added. Added. I can. So if you ask me to pull and push because of the YAML file that has been added to the destination. So initiating a push. Okay, and so it's asking me to pull, then push because YAML file has been added to it. So having done that, this is my Azure environment. Let's go to pipeline. Once it's done, you can see it has already queued. It's in ready state to start running based on the update we did from the source code just now, which is from here. Based on this update, this commit, you can see 0, 0 is successfully committed to the Git repo. can see it's running. So the first line, which is the pipeline, is running. So once it's done, let's see if this pipeline will trigger the release. Then if it triggers the release, we'll equally refresh our endpoint, the URL, to see if the additional endpoint is showing. Just hold on. Right, I said run successfully. Let's quickly look at the release. If the release is running or is ongoing. Oh, the release. Unfortunately, I didn't trigger auto in the release. All right, let me quickly do that. We'll run this again. Let's quickly trigger continuous integration for the release. Okay, this where you go to edit, come here, click this icon, then you can see enable. So once you click enabled, we are good to go. So I will try to rerun the pipeline so that it can trigger that. Run pipeline again. Bear with me. Let's run it again. Once it stops, it should be able to, as it's trying to run, should be able to trigger the release. Then we'll move straight to the output. So it's already running. Just wait briefly. You can see it has finished running. It has triggered the production. This is now release 2. So once it is done, it will go and replace the content. Then we can now quickly see the output. Just hold on. All right, it's done running. Let's see. Where's my okay? Let's see. This is the Swagger before. Let's see whether this authentication will now have 5 endpoints as against the 4 that was initially there. Okay, you can see get very specific user has been added. So you can see the chain reaction from when changes and commitment were done inside the code. It triggers the build pipeline. From build pipeline triggers the release. We are here. So this is basically how to deploy solution straight to Azure Web Apps Services. So the part 1 of this video is very, very important. That is the fundamental. All the feeds that are required to have a connection from the release aspect of this DevOps were all gotten from Azure. So please take time to go through that video before you jump to this second part of it. So thank you very much for your time today. As usual, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my post, and make a positive comment. That's the encouragement I need to move on. Thank you once again. For the Azure environment, you can, if you have, you can always go around it, play with it. But if you do not, find a way to create one so that you can have a hands-on. It is very, very important. So in summary, this is what we have in our, okay, now this is the DevOps environment. It's my Azure, okay, this is my Azure environment. It's my Azure environment, okay. All right, so this is how we go about today's class or some tutorial. So thank you once again. We'll see you next time.